Hello and welcome back to another live stream. Happy Wednesday to you all. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. Yes, we're here live, working away. Got the Painter Flo here as my wonderful co-host.
Yo.
My silent Bob, equivalent basically.
Not that silent.
And then disembodied voice over on the other side.
Hello.
So I might just stand here and use the force.
Just use the force. Why not everyone else's? What are you working on today, Miss Ma'am?
I am hopefully finishing your Attila and Rough Riders today.
They have been a little bit of an epic journey, haven't they? They just have a lot of detail on them, right?
They have a lot of detail. And, you know, I only work on them when I'm here, so, you know.
There's also a big miniature taking up all of our turntable.
Yes.
The entire thing. Holy crap.
D&D Demogorgon. I was given it as a commission, so that is him. Just about ready to go.
Looking good. Looks like he's crashing through. I like the way the framing catches little tentacles hitting the front of the camera.
It's like back in the day when you had those old 3D movies where you'd have stuff like come toward the screen to show off the 3D.
I remember, I think we saw an Elvira event with the red and blue glasses that you went to the theater.
Tell you what was really well done in 3D, though. Coraline.
Coraline was good.
Coraline was amazing in 3D.
Was it actually built? It was built for it, right?
I mean, it was
I don't
stop
know if
motion.
it was, because we saw Nightmare Before Christmas.
And it was
in 3D, but it was,
retroactively.
yeah, so it all looked like it was in a shadow box, like nothing really came out at the screen.
Yeah, that seemed to be the effect. Like if it's filmed with the idea of being 3D, it comes out at you, and if they retroactively do 3D, it looks like you look into it.
For this one, I think they did do some of it to
Come out. Okay.
because especially in the openings, when she's putting the doll together and the needle comes through at you. It's really cool.
That's a good movie. It was poignant for the time, too. All right, let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Mandragora, early and anticipating. So I guess we should start off with the right question. What is Nova, and what is your usual experience like there? Well, that's a wonderful question. Great question to start off with. I will circle back around to it. I just want to say hi to everybody real quick. Hello, Shale. Appreciate you being here. Thomas Grable, good to see you. Would love to go to Nova perhaps next year. Yeah, perhaps so. This is the 12th year of Nova, so maybe next year. Patty, hi, how you doing? Jeremy, good to see you. Nova is like Adepticon in DC instead of Chicago. Yeah, it also has slightly smaller attendance, but it's very, very similar. Huge overlap of lots of artists, lots of events, painting classes, tournaments. There's a huge narrative event happening there with GW. So yes, all kinds of cool stuff. Let's see. Paul, thank you as always for being my wonderful moderator. We've been playing the new updated Phasmophobia. We did that on Monday as my way of unwinding. It was less, like, for the first time I actually didn't really feel that scared of the ghosts. Like I was too tired to be scared of ghosts. I mean, not enough to not stay in the van, but it was an interesting experience. If you play Phasmophobia, check out the new update because the gear is all like downgraded and super analog now, and it makes it way more challenging but way more interesting. It's a lot of fun.
I missed out on the play day.
Yeah, we'll just
I passed out. I was dead to the world.
Yeah, I hear ya. Let's see, Revok, greetings humans.
Andrew Fairbanks is just checking in to appease the algorithm gods. He'll be back.
Oh, well thank you. Just make sure if you're doing that, hit the like button. What a miniature to start with, right? I know. Plunderdead, good evening. I've been following your stuff on on Insta, actually. We saw some of your stuff on Insta yesterday. Plunderden. Pete's Fried Chicken. Hello, Miranda and Co. Hello, hello. Not a movie I would have ever watched in 3D. Up was really good in 3D. Oh, good point. The Plunderdead, working on a New England style house. That will be the prize during the Summer of Plunder for best looking table. Ah, love it.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Robert says, Adepticon is my favorite con. Amazing dioramas on Saturday night. Oh yeah, the armies on parade are always just a wonderful treat. That big old hallway with all the GW team tournament folks out there is always super cool. Adepticon is an amazing experience, but the nice thing about like a lot of the tabletop conventions is you know, obviously you don't have the money to go to every single one, probably, but at least there's usually one that's relatively close to you, unless you live in New Mexico.
Well, in that case, you just need to play Infinity.
LVO is pretty close to you.
LVO is the closest
Yeah.
one technically for that. There's also Tacticon, which is smaller, but that's in Colorado, and you can do that one also. But yeah, like major conventions, like the East Coast kind of rules.
Well, there's basically what, the three? There's like Adepticon, Nova, and
And
LVO.
LVO.
Right?
I think those are the three biggest tabletop conventions in the U.S. at this point. Let's see. The Very Angry Iron Warrior says, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" Well,
Painting.
Very Angry Iron Warrior. I'm getting ready for Nova, which will be a week from today. We'll be in Virginia, basically right next to Washington, D.C., for the Nova Open Convention. I'll be hosting a panel there, a game development panel. So if you're going to be there, sign up for that. Be interested, because it's going to be cool. And then, yeah, Flo's been doing a bunch of commission work, and we also spent this past weekend filming for, just straight up filming a movie, which I described to Disembodied Voice the other day as if you had stuck your head in the warp for 3 days. And then you just came out and you don't know what's down and up and right and wrong and what's real and what's not real. So I'm still kind of recovering a little bit from that. But it was an amazing, bizarre, challenging, unrelenting, but amazing experience. Let's see. Pete's Fried Chicken, what gaming have you been up to of late? The game of life, unfortunately.
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Just a whole lot of multitasking. I popped into the game store the other day and they were like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." This, I was telling you too on Monday, because we had, again, filmed all weekend. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just a lot of stuff going on. And I was like, and I hung out at the studio a little bit and I was like, I want to play 40K so bad. I just want to go to the game store and just like wave people down and be like, "Hey, I want to play this game. Don't know it. Want to learn it. Let's just do this." Like, I just wanted to do something that was like easy and relaxing. And yeah, 40. And I'm looking at my like beautifully painted Imperial Guard army, and it's gonna be so good. But you know what? It's going to Valhalla with me, and I'm going to play so many games. That's all I'm gonna do. So yeah. And then I've been reading White Dwarf, which was its own challenge, but whatever. This weekend we should have a new White Dwarf review out. And then my other White Dwarf issue already arrived too, so 2 possibly in the next week or 2. Really quick. It's gonna be exciting.
Well, what is it? The White Dwarf review we're thinking of trying to launch on Friday morning?
Yes.
That's the goal?
Yes. Hopefully I can get it all edited tomorrow, with it going up Friday morning is the goal. I should be able to do that. How hard could it be? Always love tempting fate like that. Anyway, so yes, I've been up to thinking about gaming more than actually playing, but I do miss me some 40K.
I haven't been able to get out and game. We played some Baldur's Gate 3 online.
Yeah.
That's what we managed to do.
Well, I guess, and I did play on Monday a little bit of the Phasmophobia, which was really fun. And then Paul streamed this really weird indie game that it's so bizarre. It just keeps sticking in my head. And I've been like watching playthroughs of it, like just been like passively obsessed with it, called Hell is Others. And it's just this weird 2D 16-bit game. Paul could probably give you a little bit of better description of it. And you're just in this absolutely bizarro noir-ish world that's kind of PvP, but kind of, I don't know, like Twisted Alice in Wonderland-y. I don't know. It's so bizarre. You feed blood to plants. You take care of a plant for a while. Got to go to the
Like
city.
Audrey 2?
Kind of, but Audrey 2 like chewed and ate flesh. You just like water this bonsai plant with blood that you just get from it. There's a random crack in your bathroom that opens up to this talking chasm that tries to give you bad advice.
No wonder you were having dreams of Meow Wolf.
It's like the type of storytelling and the type of weirdness that I just always find myself really, really drawn to. So I just keep wanting to see more of it. I'm like, how does this story end? I don't know. So anyway, it's been bizarre, but it's also like really challenging because when you go down to the little city, there's like, it's like two aspects of playing. One, you're running around your like dingy apartment trying to uncover this bizarre mystery that's very passive. And then another part of it, you go down to the city and it's a straight up PvP environment. All these other players look like monsters to you. And so you either run away from them or you kill them and take their stuff, but you also have to like go down to the city and loot a certain amount of things before going back. So it's like an extraction style game. It's just this bizarre mix that has just been absolutely fascinating to watch. I just keep wanting to watch it. So I don't know, take that for what you will. So let's see, I was working on filming a game of 5 leagues for the Borderland when I decided that I didn't actually capture all the elements I was looking for. So for the last week I've been working. Hate it when footage doesn't all get where you want it. Question for Paul: do we have a Nova-like convention here in the UK? The only thing I could find that I am aware of is like UK Games Expo. And you
Is
think you have
SmogCon?
SmogCon? Is SmogCon still a thing?
Is that tabletop or is that just all games? Is SmogCon more like Gen Con?
Great question. On my own new tabletop solo skirmish RPG war game. Oh goodness, Jeremy. Let's see, the best one con we have is UK Games Expo, GW, and a ton of other companies, painting events and tournaments. If you're driving to DC, I hope you've got John Denver tunes ready. Oh no, we are flying to DC. Driving? How long would that even take? That would be longer than driving to Adepticon. That was 19 hours.
Yeah, I don't know that
Not
I would
doing
do that.
again. No, we can't. No.
You're like, no. Just no.
Yeah, I think I'm happy to just fly and Uber. And where you fly in, I think it's the Reagan Airport, it's really, really close to the hotel. So it's a pretty short little like jaunt back and forth. And we'll just hang out around the hotel. There'll be plenty to do. I get to see my friends and hang out and talk nerdy, and it's just great.
Just leaving her other friends behind.
Sorry. If you can fit in my suitcase, you can go.
Oh, well, once upon a time.
Well, I've been on a heavy Mantic Games kick. Star Saga, Dead Zone, Firefight, and Dreadball. Really fun games. Just a pity they aren't very popular. Everyone tends to go for the GW equivs. I mean, people go for whatever the peer group is generally playing, because tabletop gaming is inherently social. It needs to be. So even if you find like an amazing game and there's mechanics and way you play it that you really love, unless you can convince at least a couple other people to do that too, just aren't gonna have a lot of traction.
I mean, that's kind of what happened to War Machine and Malifaux here. Like, you just don't have the community anymore.
Not anymore. It was there though. But I mean, and you've got really tenacious communities like the BattleTech community, which is very, very strong but subtle around here. Obviously, 40K is like the big game. I'm sure there's a community of Age of Sigmar players. I don't personally end up seeing them very much. But yeah, and then just a whole lot of card games. I don't even understand that whole sphere, but it's a thing. Fade Miss Seymour. See, Paul, Hell's Others is difficult to describe. It's definitely an odd game. It is so odd. That's part of what makes it stick in your head. So, anywho. Jeremy, I love Mantic games, specifically Dead Zone, and everyone I've got to try it loves it way more than Kill Team. Yeah, I think Kill Team kind of lost a little bit of its community here. I'm curious to see if Combat Patrol, just as its own thing, will end up having a bit of a community. I feel like there would be almost just events that game stores might have, and it'll just pull from the 40K community, but hey. Let's see, nice Jeremy and Patty. Yeah, other than Kings of War, there are no Mantic games where I'm at. I don't know, do we even have a Kings of War community here? I don't think so. We have,
I'm not aware of one.
It's like 40K, BattleTech, and like D&D/Pathfinder.
I feel like our Infinity meta kind of chilled out, like after the lockdowns.
I think so. I don't know that. Well, let me think here. Because I was talking to someone at Eton, I think, a while back, who mentioned trying to foster Infinity again over there. Because I think what happened is a lot of Infinity is just getting played at people's houses rather than at a game store. So, we'll see, we'll see. Shale, my FLGS is shifting its inventory. Malifaux is apparently going to be there in a big way. Oh, that's exciting. I believe Weird is going to be one of the speakers on the panel, I think. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn there. Just to have some cool people at the little thingy bopper. The game designer Q&A. So what else? There'll be a roundtable discussion about the art of designing miniatures. So if there's any questions you guys want me to bring up to them that
Art
I'm
of
not coming up
designing
with.
miniatures or designing miniature games?
Designing miniature games. Yeah, miniatures games, for sure. More game mechanics.
So it's more
what is
rules than it is
fun.
sculpting, is
Yes.
what you're saying.
Although, if you're designing miniatures games as a general rule, you're probably looking at the overall business element, and ignoring the value of good sculpts would be foolish. So I would say that I think a lot of the people on the panel would probably argue, like, no, you need a beautiful game to put out there.
Well, I think there's also some of the questions of bringing up like WYSIWYG, you know, where it's like almost as a game design, like being able to just model your units instead of having to like fret over if this one's going to have a grenade or not or something. Where, because I remember one of the things I did like in War Machine a lot was just, yeah, that's a Winter Guard. This is what he's got.
This is
You're
their
good.
card. They always have this blunderbuss and a...
You could like add a weapon attachment, like a few of those, or add an HQ, but it's like the normal dudes, you didn't swap out their gear.
Yes and no. I mean, it's kind of interesting with the new edition of 40K because the points loadout doesn't matter. And so I think WYSIWYG people aren't really going to be that precious about anymore because no one's going to think you're cheating any points. You just have it or you don't. But I know my own philosophy for it was just like, oh, I can play all of these things. I'm just going to play with what's on here so I don't have to think about like, no, these are actually meltas, not plasmas or whatever. And in a way, it kind of becomes a little bit more realistic to a war game of, well, these are the requisitions you got, this is the gear you've got to deal with. I mean, I'm sure anybody who's been in the army is like, well, they just gave us this stuff and we just have to make it work. We don't get everything we want. So to me, and maybe this is just a justification, but it seems like, no, that feels right. But yeah, in general, I agree with the whole card mechanic. Oh, I'm so glad you can print out cards for GW now. It's like so nice.
Yeah.
Paul says, community can be an issue. One of my friends went back to current Kill Team just to play some games despite hating it. Ooh. Yeah, if you're playing a game you hate, then you must really, really love the community, you know?
I think a lot of people do that. They just sort of play what everyone's playing, even if it's not something they particularly like. I think that's kind of common.
Like, do you think people who go bowling together do that? Like, someone's like, I don't even like
Kind of.
bowling, and
They're like, I don't care. You know, they prefer to do something else, but everyone's going bowling, so you go.
do you think that applies to karaoke and things
Yes.
that are more yeah. Huh.
Warhammer karaoke.
You just politely play Warhammer.
Well, I mean, if it's something your group of friends is going to go do and you want to be hanging out with your group of friends, what do? You go and do the thing with a group of friends.
Yeah.
Hopefully at some point they play or do something that you enjoy, but if
Or-
that's what the group of friends is doing, that's what you're doing too.
Or you just learn to love it.
Or I just watch everybody else drink. And I make fun of them later on when they get up to crazy antics and I'm like, "Yeah, you were dumb.
Oh, yeah.
You were super dumb."
I mean, I've been a DD since I was like 16. So,
You know what?
designated driver.
Oh. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't even know what that life is like, what that looks like on the other side.
Have I had a couple drinks? Yes. Have I ever been like that? No. I just don't like drinking enough for that.
Smirt. Let's see, did you hear about the $300,000 theft of trading cards at Gen Con? I
Oh,
sure
yeah.
did. I was all over the internet. Do we know if anybody ever got caught for it, or even though that person's like face and everything is just on screen, like no one caught him?
I thought it was like another game company, like employees for it or something. I don't know. I heard loosely something. I don't even remember where I heard that from. So,
Oh.
but I thought.
So
they
I
kinda
heard
found
of
out.
it, and then I have not heard any follow-up of it, if that helps, if that clarifies. Will you be making a video of your time at Nova? Well, if I do, it'd be recorded by disembodied voice.
Time permitting.
Time permitting. Well, it would be fun. It would be nice to do something like that. So, to be determined. We'll find out. Let's see. I should get my Resident Evil 1 tabletop game this week or next. I can play that solo or co-op, and that'll keep me happy for a while. I love these freaking Resident Evil board games. They're so popular. The Resident Evil 2 board game was really fun when we played that with Joel at
Which
Media
one?
Glitch.
Oh, is that the one Joel got? Okay, I was just about to ask.
It happened during setup on Tuesday the 1st, that's right. Jeremy, Infinity is kind of gotten some hate because some recent business stuff from my understandings, though they do have one of the easiest versions of the game to get into with Code 1. Oh, didn't know about that.
I haven't heard of any of that.
Seems like Corvus Belli's been generally really good. Like, I think they've always had pretty good transparency. I always
I know
found their
players
list.
have always liked them.
Yeah. And I know, like, they even retire out models. And like, everyone's fine with it because, you know, they're very transparent about it. Let's see, a bunch of us bought into Conquest, but then all ended up playing other things and lamenting that we never played Conquest. Well, Shale, if nobody sells off their miniatures, there's a good chance that at some point you guys are going to be like, you know what? We're going to make it happen. This weekend, it's on. And you're going to all play Conquest. And you're going to be like, it's fine. Mandragora, I own a surprising amount of Mantic. I have a huge amount of Warpath / Dead Zone Vermin. I submitted a pic of one big unit for a contest or something. You did a few years back, if I recall correctly. You and Dan judged. Oh, yeah. It's one of my most misunderstood videos on my YouTube channel. It's like when Dan and I totally provide completely unqualified painting opinion. And so people...
That's even the name of the video.
It is. And so people could submit anything, but then some people were submitting like really beautiful stuff. So of course, you know, Dan and I being jackasses are like, that's so amateur. And then the comments we got, people are like, you guys are so mean. And I'm like,
What does it tell
I
your
feel like you didn't
5-year-old
read the
daughter She did a
homework.
great job.
Some people didn't understand the assignment.
yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Like, I understand the internet has destroyed all attention spans, but I don't know. I just leave it up there because it's kind of funny. I mean, I don't know what to say.
It is
Like,
what
everyone
it
was
is.
in on everyone who participated was in on the joke. So it, you know, offending some random audience, people who were not, you know, personally made fun of or anything, like, I'm not gonna feel bad about that. So, yeah, that was a good time. I'm sure I wonder. I don't even know what her comment was on it, but. Patty, it's kind of a shame. There are really good games out there, and no one's going to stop you if you're playing with models from a different game. Yeah, generally not. The only time that ever really matters is for tournaments and for specific game events. Where is Nova Open held? Is that the one in DC? Yeah, it's technically Virginia, but it's like right on the border of DC. Was it Crystal City or something like that?
I'm not sure. I'm not
yeah.
sure the actual town, technically.
Yeah, it's very, very, very close. Let's see, the Premier East Coast. I was trying to see where. I don't know. It's really close. So it is 2 hours north of Richmond. Oh, yeah, they give the whole thing there. But basically, yeah, it is
North of
right
Richmond.
next to DC. And so it's super, super close to the airport, very easy to travel to. You don't need a car. We're not going to have a car when we're out there. So, yeah. And then there's, it's at a Renaissance hotel this year. Nice big venue. And we've got like loads and loads and loads of events happening. Tons of panels and seminars, painting classes, tournaments, just everything your little gamer heart could desire. It's all going to be there that week. And it's from like the 30th to the 4th, so it's several days. So even if you can't show up all of the days, you could get a day pass or whatever, or look at the schedule of events and see what you might want to attend, although a lot of the events have sold out, so definitely make sure to check that ahead of time. Patty, if I heard right, it was an LGS out of California that plundered the cards. What? A competing game store? Who would do that? That's such a stupid decision. Like, you're easily caught, and like that was a very bad reputational. That just seems like really
crazy.
foolish. Really, like, other than being wrong, it's also just kind of not smart. I don't know if that's the case. Mandragora. That was a strange era. Mantic, Privateer Press, CMON, everyone capitalized on the We Hate GW trend. Then the Kickstarter bubble burst and GW went hardcore with new units. Woke the sleeping giant. I mean, that is a really good example of pretty much what happened, because I think the heyday of a lot of those other games happened during the 7th edition of games of 40K.
It was during the we're just a model company
Oh, yeah, we're a model company.
So we don't care about your gameplay.
We don't care about... Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of drama there, and yeah, like War Machine was taking a very significant, I think pretty significant market share, and Malifaux was right there, and Infinity was right there, and CMON had like Wrath of Kings and Dark Age, and then, like you mentioned, the Kickstarter bubble, which I can't remember, it was several years ago now, we read an article about the board game Kickstarter industry being like $1 billion industry as of several years ago. So it's like gaming really has had this huge renaissance, analog gaming, I should say, which has been kind of nice. Like, there's the, again, I keep talking about the social aspect of it. I mean, I think it's very valuable to go meet up with your friends in person, if at all possible, because we need human connections. It's part of being a human. And video games, while satisfying in their own right, don't necessarily fulfill that. And so, the board game renaissance seemed like this kind of cool idea, but, then there was scams and unfulfilled Kickstarters and other dramas. And so, we're kind of seem to be on the tail end of that. And I don't know if people are buying in as much as they used to anymore. Like, everything is hard.
I think they're probably spending about the same amount, but
There's just
10 times as many
competition.
Kickstarters, so there's not as much money for each one. So it's not like you see so many of them that are just hitting 1 million over and over like they were.
But then, GW kind of came home to roost and was like, well, here's 8th edition, which... Was it 8th? Yeah, 8th was actually not all that amazing. 9th edition, I think, really brought the market share back.
Well, what I think they really did was it's like, hey, we'll go ahead and open our Facebook. Hey, we have a YouTube channel. Hey, let's have a community here. Let's do, and they just started doing that, and that was what changed most of it.
Yeah, and
More so
honestly,
than
like when I read
particular
White Dwarf
edition.
magazine, it makes me excited every time. Like the amount of positivity, regardless of whatever complaining, legitimate or otherwise, there is of GW, like those White Dwarf magazines just make it look like this amazing, super fun club that you just want to be part of.
Yeah.
It's always really positive. There's, people from all walks of life that submit letters or show off their models. They talk about like bits of the lore. It's, new things that they're doing, ways of incorporating the community, encouraging you to go to game stores.
It's almost like having a magazine is really good for your game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
No, if Privateer really wanted to try to step back into it, and I don't know what it takes for them to start their magazine again.
I don't know.
But they should have really worked to keep it, because I think it was probably even a bit of a loss leader. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't designed to make money so much as designed to keep enthusiasm in the hobby.
Yeah.
And White Dwarf does that. Like,
White
for
Dwarf
sure.
absolutely does that.
And No Quarter did that. Like I always really enjoyed No Quarter.
No Quarter and No Quarter Prime. Those were really fun. They had the new scenarios in there. They had articles of people, their own letters and submissions. Oh, excuse me. They were always like substantial magazines, right? So there was plenty to read in there and show off, and here's a little bit of hobbying for building some terrain stuff. Like it's just so nice.
You and Dan even wrote for
Ravage magazine.
Ravage magazine.
Yeah,
that's
that was
what
a CMON magazine. We have a few articles in there, It was
Like 6 months or so of them.
something like that, yeah. Yeah, Ravaged was a magazine that kept up for a while too. And I understand like print is difficult and it's hard, but there's a lot of value in tactile media. Let's see.
Well, it just makes it feel like more of an existing thing, right? Because board games or tabletop games are kind of a, despite their physical nature, they're a little bit ethereal, especially if you've been around tabletop war games for a while, because you know that they can just sort of disappear eventually, right? Like, you know, how many people still have Chronopia models, you know?
I know my friend Aaron does.
I know, we said all ours to him. But it's that sort of thing where you're like, yeah, I mean, this, my local gaming group can dry up. This can just go away at a moment's notice. And I'll still have cool miniatures to look at, but the game can go. And so I think something like a consistently printed magazine or something like that keeps that feeling around the player base that like, nope, it's still coming out. Nope, this is still a thing. We're
true.
still, the game still lives. It still goes on. You know, I think it's really helpful in that way.
Corvus Belli was putting out a fantasy game called Warcrow, no? Oh, wow. Warcrow? I don't even know about that one. Sounds interesting. Infinity making a fantasy game. I wonder what those look like. Shale will eventually
Does it
do
still look like anime?
fantasy anime? All right, I'm just going to Corvus Belli Warcrow. Damn you, Bing. Why do I have Bing? Okay. There's not very much information here. Okay.
Well, here, look under games.
And there's like a teeny piece of concept art that I can't see all of. What Warcrow Adventures? Nope. Okay.
There's a miniature.
All right. I get a little bit of AOS vibes off that. Interesting. No, I don't even know they put out a new one. That's really cool. Shale will eventually do an Invasion of Albuquerque Conquest meta when we visit a friend who moved there. Do let me know when you do that. I'd love to meet up with you guys. Paul, I have to be pretty desperate to play a tabletop game I hate, though. I feel it'd do more if my Steam library wasn't as full. David Luff. Good evening from Northern Virginia and enjoying the show as I work on Frostgrave terrain for an upcoming Barrage convention held in Havre de Grace, MD in September. Nice. So Northern Virginia, are you by chance going to Nova? Because that's not that far away from you. Patty, War Games north of Richmond. Just want to throw some dice. Want to get some plastic men and have tiny wars at scale. Yes, exactly.
Are you putting that to the tune? 'Cause I really want to know now.
To the tune.
Oh man, Paul Knox
Richmond,
says
north
that
of
that was
Richmond.
6 years ago you and Dan did that.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. I need to check on Dan. Make sure he's doing all right. Mythic Games, yeah. What's up, Spaztech? Hello. Mandragora says the problem with the industry is that really is either CMON boom or bust or GW's sunken cost monopoly. Anastier delivered as a CMON character expansion, but has bust as a Kickstarter because of Mythic Burst. It's a tumultuous market to be sure, and GW has a legacy behind it, and so it feels really stable. So, you know, people make monopolies happen more than like monopolies just enforce themselves. Like people want to gravitate towards something they think is stable. So they will always go back to I don't know, Walmart or whatever, like the place they know is going to be open, the place they know is still there, 100 years from now. And that's just the nature of it. So monopolies exist because human nature. They just take advantage of human nature. So, I mean, unless you have player bases who are a little bit more experimental and really wanting to, or put a lot of work into fostering another game, and that is what should happen, but it takes a lot of energy, then yeah, you're generally going to see that kind of boom bust response, because the boom happens when people get mad, right? Like, oh, GW, they're not treating me right. I'm going to go somewhere else. But there's like 400 different directions for that somewhere else to be. And so
Yeah, you
the
gotta
audience
kinda
just
organize what direction everyone's going to go in if they're going to
Exactly.
make much of a difference.
Yeah, that is the thing. The game magazines are like the hot dog deal at Costco. Not everyone gets them, but damn, does it bring people in shopping.
Yum, 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 yum.
Interesting comparison, Patty. Jeremy, Privateer who? Never heard of this company or this magazine, no quarter. Oh, shut up, Jeremy. He's so bitter. I still have and love all of my little miniatures. My little Cador collection. My not so little Cador collection. One of these days it'll all get painted up. Anyway, Patty, have you guys seen hashtag Iron Age in their Anvil magazine? It looks pretty cool, and they're trying to get indie writers off the ground. See, that's really cool. Like,
I
they're
have.
fostering and reaching out, yeah?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. There's a lot of comic books going under Iron Age and stuff like that.
Oh.
It's a bit of a movement.
Oh. And it's called Anvil magazine?
Well, one of the magazines is Anvil magazine, and they spotlight on
Indie writers?
Writers, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Are you going to write for them?
So who gonna write for them?
Are you going to write
Me?
for them?
Ugh, I hate writing.
It's true. Oh my gosh, 6 years. I can't believe that.
happened to that?
I don't even know. Let's see, Warhammer, Paul says, Warhammer Plus released a new painting video today with a new presenter. They went back to showing the painter's face. It was mentioned a great deal in Louis Sugden's Discord. Good call, because that felt a little BS-y, didn't it? I don't know if you're going to be part of that branding. And
Well, they didn't want the painters to be able to go off and be successful afterwards, which is kind of what would you call it? Like,
overreaching?
oh, absolutely. But they didn't want to build a person as a brand,
Yeah.
right? Because they didn't want anyone to pull away from their own painting videos.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And if they end up like firing a painter or something like that, they just want that to be the end of it. They don't want that painter to still be running around talking about what happened. So,
Well, I'm glad the decision was made eventually that they are still humans and deserve to exist just even after their time with the company is over. So I think that's fine. And plus, it's just more personable. Like, it's nice to know the name or be following a specific painter. It's just like what consumers, it's what I would want to do. And be like, no, I
songs
want to
about
know
how
what.
he's a painting god.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, there you go. Mandragora's comment like de-scrambled for us.
Yes. Also, dang Miranda, be like Lego Batman. I have aged phenomenally looking at that old video. That was a great trailer. Oh my gosh. I love Lego Batman. Probably one of the best Batman movies, in my humble
Definitely.
opinion. Oh my goodness. Hey, Bills, welcome to the chat. Mandragora, who'd have thought the New Mexico sun was good for you? What are you talking about? I avoid that all the time. Come out sometimes, and then like I start seeing smoke come off my skin, and I'm like, oh, back inside for me.
Even when you go walking, it's at night.
Well, I go walking at night. In fact, all of our neighbors know us. There's those people who walk at weird hours. In fact, sometimes during the summer, we'll be walking at like 2 in the morning or something, which, by the way, I count as patrolling the neighborhood because I think we have helped keep crime down
like
by just
Buffy.
constantly walking. Yes. Because people get lost in our neighborhood all the time, but you can't tell if they're casing houses or not. And so just being around walking has done, I think, wonders. So you're welcome, neighborhood. The other thing about the hobby that makes me sad is when a game I like dies or the publisher dies. I have lots of Arcane Legions, Ethereum, Firestorm Armada, Firestorm Planetfall. Then no one plays. But you know what? Here's the upshot to that, Robert, because I do hear you. And that is sad. The nice thing is you have tangible physical models that presumably you enjoy. You know, you didn't just get the model for a gameplay mechanic. So as long as you actually enjoy those models, you can still enjoy those models. And there are enough miniature agnostic games out there that you could still use them for that. So the models don't become instantly useless. As long as you have a miniature, I mean, this has been Reaper's entire business model. Just having a miniature is a world of possibilities right there. You don't, like, they're always going to be useful, I guess is kind of what I'm saying. Bells, I have 2 small conventions in the next 2 months. You know, I actually wrote out a quick list of what I think the remaining conventions are for this year. And I threw Valhalla in there, even though it's not a convention, it's a retreat. It's very important to know that. But I put that in there because I want to remind people that Valhalla is happening at the beginning of October. If you want to go, you should let me know. So Nova Open is happening the soonest. So that's a week from today, starting August 30th to September 4th. Then a smaller convention, Tacticon. It's a tabletop convention out in Colorado. That is the end of September, the 22nd to the 26th. Then my wonderful tabletop gaming retreat, if everyone wants to regather their sanity, October 1st through the 6th. Germany, the Spiel Essen. It's like a tabletop gaming convention in Germany. That's October 5th through the 8th. The GW Grand Narrative is happening in Atlanta in November 17th to the 19th. And then PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia, December 1st through the 3rd. Of course, during that time, we then hit the dreaded holiday season. And then all your money goes away.
Yeah, Paul had mentioned about it, walking his dog. I only recently learned that apparently, like, England has hedgehogs. Like, that's what they just have running around everywhere. Kind of like we have rabbits in our neighborhood, they just have hedgehogs.
Oh.
I didn't know
Hedgehogs
that was
are
a
pretty
thing.
cute. Do they get really fast? Do you put rings on the ground to like help encourage them where to go?
Teach them how to roll.
Teach them how to. Let's see. That word code game is minis plus tabletop RPG. Yeah, and that's been a lot of the stuff too. Even Adam from Tabletop Minions, he came out with Majestic 13. So I think that's a miniatures agnostic game as well. But a lot of the new kind of skirmish stuff, and it's been a smart play, is that you can have a 1-player game, so you just play against the game, or you can have a cooperative game. So if you have like a partner, girlfriend, whatever, who doesn't actually care about your hobby but wants to be nice, then they can have fun cooperatively playing with you, and see if it's even of interest.
No, I think that's the key. If a game company wants to come out and grow right now, they need to have all 3 of those modes. You know what I mean? And it's like the rules are almost identical from one to the next, and the models like all match and the stats all match. As long as it's that, then I think that's how you get it off the ground.
Okay, just by having that degree of accessibility.
Yes.
I think that makes sense. It's like the spouse edition, the roommate edition.
Yeah.
I have no friends
I'm
edition.
at
I
home.
have no
Solitaire
friends.
edition.
Solitaire
Just
edition.
like I'm bored at my, in my apartment.
Misanthrope edition.
There you go.
It's like that could even be two single player games, like 2 separate types, or one's a little bit more antagonistic than the other.
Where 2 people can play solo versions of the game, but near each other, and then when one accomplishes something, it negatively affects the other, but only indirectly. You know, like those head-on Tetris games where you play, where every time you like defeat a line,
Yeah,
it pops up, and the other player is
Yeah.
like, pushes it up, something like that.
Oh my gosh. I'm just developing this game right now. I'm gonna have so much feedback for this panel next week. Oh man.
We have a hello from Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Well, hello there, Jerry DeBaca. I believe you were in our last time's chat as well. Thanks for joining. Demogorgon's looking badass, says Thomas Grable.
Oh, thank you. Hope the owner agrees.
Oh, let's see, Jeremy. You had better get on those mandragoras, so if you ever get to Valhalla, you have an army to fight my ribs. Pile of shame moment. It's in response to mandragora's pile of shame. I painted a vermin tangle for that video. Did not touch any of the rest of the models in the line, and I need to paint since. It's hard to get to everything. Having commissioned painters is such a wonderful luxury. Let's see. Warpath, just realized I've not touched any rules since I got the Kickstarter Firepath set, or whatever it was called. Yeah, that's been the other thing. I think Kickstarter, what is it, fear of missing out, the whole FOMO movement, because Kickstarter specifically uses that as a business model, right? Like, well, here's this specific time frame. And so it encouraged a lot of gamers who are very consumer by nature to just go ahead and get something with the idea that, well, I'll play it whenever it comes in, and I'll play this one too when it comes in. And before you realize it, you've bought into like 10 different Kickstarters. And then those games really just pile up because you really liked the look of it and it really captured your attention, whether it was marketing or really genuinely cool thing or something you were excited about. But by the time it actually comes, you're in a different stage. You have life, you've slept since then, stuff happens, and so then, it just goes into a pile. And so I think that has caused a bit of a fatigue in the Kickstartering community. And that's totally separate of the people who feel burned on Kickstarters or anything where they didn't get their product. Because I want to say most of the tabletop stuff, they probably get fulfillment. I don't usually see a lot of issues where that doesn't happen. It's just, there's so much stuff now. And, if you have a full-time job, it's really hard to enjoy all of those things.
Oh, Patty's checking out.
Oh, bye, Patty. Thanks for hanging out, man. Bill's Miranda, suspicious character in your neighborhood soon. Oh, Jerry, nobody plays. Even the popular games aren't played in the remote parts of the U.S. Go figure. And you think that is where something like Tabletop Simulator would be helpful, because
I feel like there has to be a really good one, though.
Yeah.
Because most of them they're clunky.
You know what I think would work, though? Because Tabletop Simulator is something that a lot of people have, and it's kind of this nice universal game. But if
like a
game
generic
companies, exactly, if game companies actually put out modules to remote play or to load into Tabletop Simulator and play with your friends and had some sort of support for it, I wonder if that would make a difference.
I feel like they have to just make their own game that's designed specifically around their game.
That would be ideal, but that's a lot more work.
I mean, it is, but something like, what was the White Moon Dreams, the War Machine one?
War Machine Tactics.
Tactics.
Mm-hmm.
If they couldn't decide if they were doing that or making it just a video game. Mm-hmm. But it's like if they would have just made a War Machine simulator, probably would have done a lot to strengthen the community overall.
Well, they did do a War Machine simulator. It's called War Table, and that's browser-based.
I am unfamiliar with that.
Yeah.
Is that something that Privateer did?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm not familiar with that at all.
Very few people are. But if you recall Vassal, it's kind of a lot like Vassal, but it was dedicated to War Machine. But, when you play Vassal, the concept is all well and good, and you can exercise theories on it, but it's not pretty. You're just playing with little pogs, and that's all this was too. So it, in a way, defeats the purpose of a tabletop game in that you want to play what feels like this cool epic army and show off this stuff that you've assembled and painted and talk to a human being across from you. And
well, I feel like it needs to be something that's almost has, like the voice, or not voice, what am I thinking? The, FaceTime, basically, ability with your opponent. Mm-hmm. And so if you could have that, and I think that the little pogs, the one thing that Tabletop Simulator did that was really good is they were 3D models, so they look like miniatures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not going to be better than just playing in front of somebody, but like the
like Jerry,
commenter
when
said.
you're talking about living in a really rural area of the States, it would be nice to play. It's just, and I wonder if this is where, what is the metaverse, all the VR stuff, if you just put on your little
I don't
whatever
think you
headset.
even need VR. Just a normal So I mean, War Machine Tactics, the way that looked was great.
It was a beautiful
I love
game.
the way it looked. So just have that, but just have the rules of just a proper tabletop game.
Yes.
Along with a FaceTime chat ability where you could literally just see the other guy on his webcam.
Oh,
while you're-
okay, an actual
That way you can kind of hang out
face-to-face.
and just voice chat with them while you're playing this game. And
Okay.
I don't know. I think it would help a lot. It would help to keep the meta alive in places.
Especially in rural environments, and then people who want to travel for, say, a tournament can
Yes.
still have practiced
Yes, absolutely.
and be involved, and then they can go and spend the money on what it takes to get to an actual convention, but not feel like they just get their butts horribly kicked because they hadn't played in so long or whatever.
It was just a game they only know about theoretically. They
Yeah.
actually had a chance to push miniatures around.
No, that's true. And I feel like in rural areas, because, like Mora, New Mexico, like a couple people get together. It's just the same couple
Or
of
Las
people getting
Vegas, New
together,
Mexico.
or Las Vegas, New Mexico, or Mountain Air, or whatever, like rando little town. And if you can find it, if you find one person, then you can at least still enjoy the game. But yeah, that is where digital actually would shine and can shine and is nice. So you know what? I think I might bring that up at the panel because that's an interesting point. Keeping metas alive. What do you do?
And I think to a degree it's that solo play version of the game where you can just enjoy the miniatures you've painted and just push them around. I remember one of the first games I ever got was Advanced Hero Quest. And it was like a tile placement game, but it had rules for playing by yourself. And so you could actually just play if you didn't know anyone who played it. And I thought it was fun.
I think that's still useful because you still at least get a sense of moving around. Even so, when I would practice for War Machine tournaments, I did what was called shadow boxing, where I would just practice unpacking my army. It's like, okay, if I deploy generically this way, what models should move first when I do this, and like what's my total threat range? And I would sit there and like mess with that for a while because
Do like a turn one and then see where you could project threat from there.
and it's like if you could do that in like a video game environment, it would be a lot easier than unpacking all your stuff. So there's that. Oh, thank you, Thomas. You're right. Warfare Weekend is also in November in St. Louis. So that one is another one happening. Bills. I'll be running a War Master tournament in September, another GW game that has been unsupported for more than a decade. Should have 6 to 8 players. War Master. Do you know that game?
Is that the one with the little tiny, it's like Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but with little bitty tiny miniatures? I remember it was activation based, the way that Infinity was. So you could have one unit that just like activates 4 times in a row and goes real far, but then
Yeah.
other units don't get activated at all.
Fair point.
If it's what I think it is.
Pete's Fried Chicken. I bought the Rebs booster pack recently off a sale page just for the Jude Wan Medic for a conversion. Nice. Let's see. Jeremy, Mandragora Warpath is going to a 10 millimeter scale. It would be Firefight now, which has a new rulebook. Paul says, for Majestic 13, you need 5 near-future military / SWAT type minis and quite a few big monster minis. Okay. That's still
sounds fun.
fairly agnostic, but... And, those are relatively easy miniatures to get a hold of. If you have a 3D printer, then you've got like thousands of models at your disposal. You can also just look at the Reaper's Bones lineup, yeah, of pretty inexpensive, very accessible miniatures, the regular Reaper miniatures. Like, I mean, there are a bajillion amazing sculptors out there. Like, the
Well,
miniature
especially with
game
the,
has gone.
Especially the 3D printing like pages you go to, or so many companies are out there putting out like 40 new models every month and stuff like that.
What's Loot Studios? Is that the one? Yeah, Loot Studios is a major one. Hero Forge is still another one. Like, loads of options. And then aside from that, there are Kickstarters to buy like terrain and stuff. Dana's miniature.
Oh yeah, it's terrain and stuff. We did a
Those
Kickstarter for that.
mountains that I
really
was
good.
pushing a while back, like
Oh, that was
really
super
cool,
good looking.
really pretty stuff.
I'm actually wanting to finish printing some out to make the orc table with, like
For
the desert
Baja.
orc table. Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Let's make sure that isn't freezing up. Okay. Resident Evil 6 had a competitive mercenaries mode. Every enemy you killed was sent to the other player's game.
That's great.
That is really fun. Mandragora, I don't remember if Vermin have rules in Dead Zone. I need to get my rules book out of storage. Oh, but I remember one great mission that was Save the Dreadball MVP. I'd bring my DB team for that. The first edition of Dead Zone. We're in 3rd edition now. They have so much new stuff. They're going to add new factions over the next year and a half. Well, Dead Zone seems like that's been a healthy game. I mean, I think overall miniature tabletop miniature games as a whole have grown, like the audience has grown enough, so it does support other stuff. It's not just GW, just the big guy or whatever. Manta caused a lot of confusion having 3 games to split their models among, because not every model has rules for each game. Also, if they go to a new scale, I am out. I do standard heroic or not at all. Fair enough. Mandragora Oakkiller shows how much
I feel like you're kind of that way too.
I am. Yeah, like Epic and stuff. It's just like, it's too tiny for me. As much as I very much enjoy pushing trays of miniatures, which I learned from playing Song of Ice and Fire, where I'm like, this is fun as hell. Don't know why, it's just really fascinating. But even then, like those miniatures are still at
Well, I
32
wonder
mil.
if Epic would feel different to you because the little trays of miniatures are not the focus, and so really the miniatures are Titans, which are heroic or
more
bigger scale,
heroic.
right? And then so like the little troop trays are just sort of like some guys, but the rest of them are tanks and stuff like that. So I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. Incidentally, we might have an Apocalypse game happening here in Albuquerque
Oh,
before the end of the year. Tavern was talking about doing.
we got to get our Titans ready then.
Yes. Because if they do it, I want to participate. Just bring stuff. Just be like, here's all my stuff. I need to get my Stormlord put together.
Oh, Pete's Fried Chicken Gaming is headed off to Warcraft. He's gonna run a dungeon.
Oh, how fun. I hope you play Alliance. But either way, have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. The new Firefight stuff is great. Not stoked about them changing the scale for Warpath. I won't get into another game scale no matter how much I enjoyed the company or their models. It's interesting, like, why is that a line? I've mentioned that Infinity will retire out entire factions, and that doesn't seem to put people off of playing or liking the company altogether, but obviously War Machine doing it was a deal breaker. And so for this, changing the scale is a deal breaker. Like, what, do you just feel like you would have to buy all of that stuff again, and the feeling of starting over is what makes it frustrating? Whereas if they always told you that they were going to do that, you would not be bothered by it?
Well, I wonder if it's how it goes, right? Because Epic used to be a smaller scale, whereas the new version of Epic it's actually grown in size, and I think that's only helped it. So I wonder if it's just we're changing your scale and we're making everything smaller, which for some people is like, oh, I don't enjoy painting that. Like, that's little bitty and not what I look for. So I wonder if it's a more of a hobby decision.
Inquiring minds want to know. Tabletop Simulator and Flex Sheets make BattleTech highly playable online. For a more vintage experience, Megamech is really impressive considering it's 20-year-old Java. Oh, that's fun. I didn't even know about Megamech. But Tabletop Simulator, I'm actually not sure about Flex Sheet either, but TTS, I guess, is really the only one I know of, and Vassal, both. Let's see you next time. Jeremy, they rarely kickstart their mainline games now. Just the side games like Hellboy and others. They put out quarterly releases for each game, though. That's another big thing. If you're going to do the game company thing, is keeping up with miniature line releases. I don't know how much BattleTech does that. It seems like they always have stuff available, but I don't know how much the models change. Mandragora, I just collect them for fun, or at most to have as a native alien species for my Chaos Renegades to deal with now and then. Just like my Raging Heroes, Sisters, and Inquisitors. Raging Heroes is another lovely company. At least I do enjoy their line. William Inez, the game of wolves and birds is a thing I'd like to see reviewed on this channel, just because it's about a war game played by girls during a war for the purpose of winning the war. What? Game of wolves and birds?
I've never heard of it.
I'm copying this thing right now. What are you talking about?
Making a Bing search again.
It's just the default for some reason. Let's see. A game of birds and wolves. The ingenious young women whose secret board game helped win World War II. What? It's an Audible book? I'm going to download it right away. I have Audible. I have a bunch of credits I need to use. All right. Thank you. I'm gonna go learn about that like right now. Huh. Okay. I'll take a look at that. Thank you, William. See, I love learning this stuff from you guys. Let's see.
No,
Cronopia
really, you
was
got
dope.
her with history.
It's true. History, war history. I'm just generally all in. War Master is a 15mm GW game. 15mm.
I am unfamiliar with that.
You're unfamiliar?
I have no idea what War Master is.
Well, yeah. You acknowledged
the
him,
game.
Jeremy. I bet you're proud right now.
It's not the game I was thinking of,
No.
for sure.
Achilles, good to see you, man. Welcome. JP Got Rockets, greetings from the pocket dimension. Mandragora, speaking of a game I would back just to get one miniature, Privateer Press's RPG. I wanted the Hordes RPG supplement just to get Zocha for my Tharn. They had really upped their miniature game over the last several years, too. I remember the new Bloody Barnabas. Like, we put that miniature together, and it's like, oh, so cool looking. So, yeah, like, I would love to see more development of the Iron Kingdoms RPG. Jeremy, Loot Studios is crap. They don't design their minis for 3D printing as the details are so shallow. I don't know, like the stuff you've gotten is really nice
Not
looking.
had any problems, so.
Yeah. So basically, Jeremy, we're saying you don't know what you're talking about.
Although DJ has some really nice 3D printers, so they might be able to dig in and get
That's
print
true.
out detail that maybe others can't. I
So
don't know.
apparently you're just cheap.
That must be what I'm saying.
Oh, of course.
Just as long as it's some parent insult to Jeremy. Sorry, man.
Anyway.
We love you anyway. Yeah, that's true, because you're rocking, what, a 6K printer? So it's pretty nice. JP Got Rockets doing well. Oh, that's right. It is Paul's birthday week, so it is important to wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Paul. Which will be super fun. Pretty well aside from still being laid off from work, which is okay as they can do more art, but making ends meet. That is not a bad position to be in. JP Got Rockets. Hope it ends up being a stress-free as much as possible experience. Paul, I get my 3D Patreon monthly files from Titan Forge, Anvil Industries, and Popsicles. Titan and Anvil do throw some printable terrain from time to time. Printable terrain is wonderful. I absolutely love like the idea of just 3D printing terrain. Like it seems so obvious and so like, what is the word? Like intuitive. Like you'd way rather just print your stuff, buy your miniatures and print your terrain. But, I don't know. Oh, bye, Plunder Den. Thank you so much for hanging out. See, JB Got Rockets. Good to get more art done. Yes. Epic was 6mm from the new, and the new one is going to be 8mm. Oh, that's not a very big difference. But presumably you're getting some more detail. So, Andrew Fairbanks, like 99% certain Epic is the exact same game from the 90s. Epic was 6mm. I believe the new scale is 12. Uh-oh, is it 8 or is it 12? Mandragora, faction, retirement, and scale change both are game killers to me. It basically says, throw all your plastic in the trash. If I have to trash my collection, I'm never giving you another $1. Is there ever a way of pulling out of that? Is there ever like you can still use your models, but all the new line is going to be at this scale, or is that still a deal breaker for you? Just curiosity. Jeremy, for me it's more like I like to use my miniatures for so many games and like to make sure they match. If they work with Battletech, maybe I would buy into it. Okay. So does everybody like to stay within the general same scale? Like if you play with 25mm miniatures, you really always want to be the 25 to maybe 32 range because they don't look so different from each other. But jumping from like 15mm to 28 would be way too much.
Gosh, even jumping from like 25 to 28, like 25 regular to like 28 heroic, like Malifaux. Like that seems like a huge difference.
Yeah, those models are very tall and lanky. I don't think, at least Malifaux, I don't think has changed their scale. And you did see some scale change when they went from metal to plastic. That seemed like that was kind of a natural growth of the miniature as well. Thomas, changing scale can be a double whammy, as your terrain may not fit the new scale. Well, that's an interesting point, because how many times has the scale for GW terrain changed?
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I suppose like a wall is a wall. It didn't really have like
But there's rules
something to
associated
think
with
about.
it.
Oh no, for sure, right? Because even the new terrain, the walls are 5 1/4 inches.
Yeah,
or the
something like
floors
that.
are. I mean,
But they used to be, what, 3?
yeah, it used to be 3 1/2 or
Small,
something.
yeah.
A little short.
And so and it's like, yeah, you guess you can use both of them still. They don't tell you can't, but.
But and that's what I'm saying. Like the way they look isn't the same as looking at like the new Cadians versus old Cadians.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big difference. Like, you really can't mix and match those models at all.
Maybe
You
the
just-
old Cadians are when they lived on a planet with a gravitational pull, but the new ones are from like spaceships, so they get to be taller because they don't have as much gravitational pull on them as they grow.
Oh, no. Ay, ay, ay. JP got rockets. It was the war game that the Royal Navy used to track German subs. What? Need to pick up burrows and badgers. Think Redwall, but skirmish. Nice. Birds is British slang for girls, and wolves referred to the Kriegsnaval subs traveling in wolf packs. Now I'm downloading this book like as soon as the stream is over, so that's just happening. Battletech models go in eras: Old Ralpartha, Iron Wind Metals, then the re-scene in the wake of Harmony Gold. Now the Catalyst plastics. Stuff has changed a great deal over 38 years.
Oh, that's right. Ralpartha used to make the
Battletech
Battletech models. Yeah,
Such reach.
I remember buying those in the little blisters.
Jeremy, as much as I hate to give Privateer, as much hate as I give Privateer Press, reading has become difficult apparently. I do like the new character Jack from Magnus. Not Magnus himself, just the Jack. What about Karshev?
I have not
Karchev?
seen that. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because I remember he had like they had the little warjacks that had like the one-shot hunter killer missiles on them.
Mm-hmm. Shale, just look at the Sarna page for the Marauder for how wildly different the same model can look. Well, and then there's like resculpts, which I know was a big drama with the Primaris Marines from regular Space Marines. Some people argue that the Primaris Marines should have just been resculpts and not a whole different faction.
Like me.
But would people be upset
By the
at
way,
those being resculpts?
you misspoke, but I think it makes sense. I would have taken them as another faction.
Oh, as opposed to a chapter.
Yeah,
I see.
as like a replacement for the chapter. If they were like literally like the same lore, and they were like, oh no, but a lot of Imperium does not accept them, and so they're kind of this rogue faction that's misunderstood, and they're looked at as heretical, even though they're there to like save the Imperium. That'd have been cool. Just not what they did.
He's slightly bitter. My historical rules use 6mm models for World War II and modern gaming, and 15mm models for Napoleonic War gaming, says David Leff. Okay. Historical rules use 6mm for World War II, and then the bigger scale for the Napoleonic one. Okay. Night, Bills. Have a good one. Wait a minute. I've had Essenspiel proposed to me on one of my... I have had Essenspiel proposed to me by one of my board gamer friends. Yeah, no, that one seems really cool. Skulger, hello! Are you still playing WoW? It's going. Things have been crazy. I'm gonna be at a convention next week. Fun Tabletop Nova convention over there. Talking about game development. It's gonna be pretty exciting. Now we're making a movie. So I don't sleep, which is why, I have a lot of really soft light on my face right now. JP got rockets. Jeremy, wait for Patty's Wormhorde Heartbreaker. Just you wait. We'll see, you will. Boy, I tell you. William and his hedgehogs in Victorian times were a domesticated animal. They were kept as predators of beetles and similar insects. So kind of like keeping a cat around to deal with mice or something.
Well, I don't know. We could keep them around. Do they eat centipedes?
If they eat centipedes, they're welcome at my house. 'Cause centipedes,
Or not welcome?
no. They are so terrifying. In fact, I used to think I was arachnophobic, and I just don't think I am. Like, spiders really just don't scare me the same way like centipedes and
Once you
cockroaches
learned about
do.
centipedes, you learned what real phobia is.
I don't know. I still feel like the bug guy was giving us a tail. Mandragora, I kind of agree. Loot Studios is nothing special. Raging Heroes has the amazing terrain and effects, and occasionally troops and tanks. Artisan Guild has excellent mounts and riders. I love the pinups. Nice. Jeremy, I'm in the process of working on some stuff with Heartbreaker to make it a game we both enjoy, has flavor, but is different enough. Will we be able to play that at Valhalla, Jeremy? Paul, I always stay in the 28 to 32 millimeter scale. Yeah. One does get accustomed to 28. 28 sort of seems like a sweet spot. 28 to 32, both. Like, they seem like kind of a nice
32,
sweet spot.
depending on what it's for, is okay, but I feel like it's probably a little big for...
Yeah.
Like for Malifaux, I think it works great because it's just these two gangs, and so you can kind of make this very small street level diorama. But for like a war game, like War Machine, a
at the
40K,
scale.
like I wouldn't want anything bigger than 28. Although I still would have modeled the jacks bigger and put them on 60 and 50 mil bases respectively.
By rights, they really should be on 60 mil bases, but that is neither here nor there. Let's see, Mandragora. I have the scale problem with Raging Heroes sometimes. The girls are too tall, almost like they're 34 millimeters. Kills my immersion to play them together.
They're just all supermodels.
Yeah,
They're
I
all
was
6
just-
foot tall.
I mean, if you look at the if you look at the Iron Kingdoms RPG, it starts the base female at 6 foot, I think, 5'10" or 6 foot. Like, they're just all women in the Iron Kingdoms are very, very tall.
Yeah, the Raging Heroes are 6 foot tall supermodels that all wear high heels.
Exactly, for realism. Jerry, base sizes help with scale. Ralpartha / Grenadier models fit on 1-inch bases. Anima Tactics / Reaper, others also fit on 1-inch bases, so I can still use the models. Just some look smaller than others. Yeah, and we did see some of that scaling issue with I think comparing it to War Machine, if you look at like the old Black 13th models to the new ones, like they look like children. The original models look like little children compared to the new ones. And early Haley also is just this
Yeah.
really tiny model.
Haley is small though.
She
She's a little
is
tiny.
small anyway. Well, but she's smaller than Denegra, her twin sister. Like,
Well, yeah.
so it was a modeling issue.
Necromancy, it does that to you.
It stretches you out.
No, I think they could have just capitalized on that and made additional rules for like this gang of little street urchins that are mimicking the Black 13th, and it's a different unit.
Oh, that would have been fun. Then you have like
They could have
children
been a
warfare there.
Grimkin unit.
I do love the Grimkin. They genuinely make me happy. Like, I have never had a bad game with Grimkin. Even if they just suck for whatever reason, they don't do anything, I still have an amazing time playing Grimkin. Let's see, I got my Dusk starter box. Took a gander. They are gorgeous. Now, in the modeling industry, the tabletop miniature modeling world, like, that is high-fiving right now. Jeremy, Artisan Guild, Titan Forge, Daybreak Miniatures, and Papsicles, all really cool. Okay. Andrew, GW had a change in base size. The square to circle was an increase. Oh yeah, they used to be square, that's right. And for the old world, they're increasing again.
Only in Warhammer Fantasy. Like 40K, I believe, was always round base.
Were they always? Oh, okay.
Because the square base was used to put them in units that you'd move on trays.
In trays. I see. Whew. And for the old world, they're increasing again. Ask a vampire count's army about fitting Graveguard in a tray. JP got rockets. Heartbreakers are so much fun. All the flavor, none of the guilt. Jerry, Confrontation Wolfen are giant models. So the models are a new race in my Pathfinder games called Giant Knoll. Oh, okay. Well, with Pathfinder and RPGs in general, I feel like the scale of the miniature suddenly has a wider variance, you know? Like playing just your little dude, which, 32 millimeter scale for your one heroic model seems totally appropriate, to fighting like a Demogorgon, which is on, what is that, a 5-inch base right there? Like enormous scales, 120 millimeter models and up, if you're going to be fighting some sort of epic big dragon. And that type of variance is really fun. It's actually one of the things that I always appreciated in fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy, and Age of Sigmar. Like the wide scale of variance there is always really impressive. Is it raining outside?
It sounds like it is.
We're getting rain. How lovely. Anyway, let's see, Jeremy. Okay, Tommy, take the Renegade Light Jack and scale it up to a huge jack on an 80 millimeter base. Put the single shot rocket on as a shoulder mount, and add a huge chain flail, and you have the new jack.
I'll have to look him up. He sounds cool.
That does sound really fun.
I like Warjacks being on 80 mil bases.
Seems appropriate too. Andrew, we're literally a Primaris Tactical Assault and Devastator squad away from Primaris just being a range refresh. Tactical Assault and Devastator
I don't think
squad.
they'll do that though. Like I think they, like the whole idea of what those units were in lore, I think are just gone.
Andrew, I no longer believe sleep is overrated. Thank child number 3 for that. I never believed sleep is overrated. I want sleep in my life. It's just
She just doesn't get any.
It's just very elusive.
Well,
Makes me so sad.
I think out of the three of us, you probably get the most sleep.
I don't think that's true.
It depends on the week. 'Cause
Depends on sleep.
Like sometimes I'll get 3 hours of sleep a night for a while, and then other times I'll get a full 8.
Or longer. I don't know.
Sometimes longer.
My schedule is usually very brutal, so I only ever, like, I don't think I, with some exceptions, get a chance to have more than 8 hours or 9 hours of sleep at the very most. If I get to sleep in, it's like that. And otherwise, it's like 6 and 7 hours. And so I probably consistently get a little bit more sleep than you guys as far as a consistency thing, but I also consistently have just lower sleep, and it's awful, and I'm going insane. So, anyway, that's a separate issue that we're dealing with. JP got rockets. I wish I could be at Nova. You can. It's just one plane ticket away. Book Southwest. Call them, though. They give you a better deal. I've learned. I'll be at Nova Saturday only, unfortunately. Well, I'll be there Saturday as well. Although, if you could come on Thursday night, you could see the panel, but that's okay. Maybe it'll be recorded or something. So, but yeah, that'd be cool. Be at Nova. Andrew, I no longer, yes. Paul, just checked there. Burrows and Badgers originates from a place near me in the north of England. Nice. Oh dear. I have lost. Okay. Mandragora. A uniform scale creates value. Space Marines versus Jedi works if Astartes are a foot taller in scale to Luke Skywalker. My Tharn can potentially be barbarians for anything from Zombicide to Conan. Okay, so like the way that scale interacts with your other games, which makes sense because the Tharn definitely would be usable for other armies. Like Conan would actually be really fun. Andrew, step entirely on the centipede or its back end will sweep on top of your foot and sting you.
So
or you step entirely on them.
Here's how it goes. I have a size 13 shoe, and I weigh about 200 pounds. And we had a 6.5-inch one in our kitchen. I jumped up into the air and then stomped down on them, completely covering them with my shoe.
On a linoleum floor.
On a linoleum floor. And then I lifted up my shoe, and it just turned around and reared up at me.
Yeah, all I did was
piss
piss it off.
anger it. I had to chop him up with a sword.
Uh-huh.
Literally.
Uh-huh. It was frightening. I just was, I don't know if I was screaming, but I was losing my mind. I was on the phone with bug people. I'm like, whatever you have that kills centipedes. Otherwise, I'm setting my house on fire. Ay. Andrews, yes. So stepping entirely on a centipede does not always work. Maybe if you can flip it over or something,
It
but
almost
their
never
armored
works.
back is
Like they just
incredible.
are resilient.
They are frightening. Like if they really could be the size of cars, we would be ended. Like we would have to go to nuclear war. It would just be a necessity if our human species was to survive. Jeremy, we may be able to give it a shot. I'll double check with Patty to see what he thinks. I have a demo game scheduled for this weekend after next. Nice. Skulger, my message didn't go through, but yeah, I've been mainly main plus train, still on retail. Oh, Mythic Plus. But mainly playing BGs. We were just complaining about Mythics the other day. Just like, what's the point of making a beautiful game if the whole point is just to race through it and take every shortcut you can?
And not look at any of it, just go, 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 go.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many raiders like heard the music in a specific raid for the first time ever because like it was playing somewhere else?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little bit of an issue I actually take with Darktide too, because Darktide is a really, really pretty game with beautiful environments. And you're just like, wow, I want to walk around. Oh God, there's a swarm. Run.
No, the best way is whenever I would be on at about 4 a.m. playing Darktide, and it's just me and 3 bots.
Well,
and
you
then I get to
still-
actually, well, because I mean, we just fend them off as they come, and I can actually wander around and like look at the level and enjoy it and all.
Yeah.
But if you're in there with other players, if you pause for a second, they're like,
They're gone.
Or yeah, they
they're
leave you.
gone.
You're hurt. They're just like, we're not even going to come get you.
They're like, just die. It'll put you ahead of us. It's fine.
No, I was missing Vermintide. I was messaging Paul about this earlier, but I've missed Vermintide 2. Like, it feels like it has a nicer community. It's just, I don't know. I really like wanting to play Vermintide 2
Well, I feel like
again.
Vermintide didn't quite have the FPS community that
Darktide has.
got.
Yeah.
Like they end up with a lot of the Call of Duty players or something. You know what I mean? Whereas Vermintide didn't.
Interesting.
I still love Darktide though.
I do, yeah. It's beautiful. Mandragora, already tall women wearing tall high heels, just because absolutely the most realistic part of that question. Yup. Equation, yes.
Have you ever met really beautiful tall women? I think that's realistic. They'd wear those into battle. Wouldn't be caught without them.
Exactly. Remember an episode of The Nanny when they had her take her heels off. She was on this ledge of a building for some reason, and she's like, I can't balance without my heels. What? You know. Real Palifer Battletech minis are dwarfed by their modern plastic equivalents, I'm sure. Like Hellas. Grimkin are good. Grimkin are wonderful.
I'm way more interested in BattleTech if we get to play it at the 28mm scale, where humans are 28mm.
Oh, and then the robots are like
Yeah, they're just like Titans. That's how I'd want to play it.
That would be fun. Skulger also been hobbying AOS and 40k occasionally too. But very sad with Votan as of late. Yeah, they kind of went to the bottom of the pile. They became one of the worst armies. Just gonna be painting me dwarves. Gonna wait for a fix before I start rolling dice with them. It's still gonna just be fun anyway if you're just playing with whatever. But yeah, the Votan, it's kind of crazy because they're beyond broken. So broken that, what was it, like the German tournaments weren't even letting you play that faction for when they first came out until an FAQ came out.
And now they're just bad. I don't like that. I
Yeah,
don't even
pretty
play
low,
them,
too.
but I don't like that.
yeah, with that, I think the Skitari got hurt really bad. And then there's like all the mid-tier, which like Imperial Guard's like mid-tier, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Apparently, like Talon Death Guard are just not doing great either.
Oh yeah, Death
Real
Guard
low.
got mistreated. Oh man. GP got rockets. Battletech always had scaling issues. It's literally a 2D board game that all mechs could be represented by chits. The figures are just smexy appeal.
Because they're smexy.
They're smexy. Nice. Sleep is for the weak. Quiet, Austin. Meaty
So-
glitch. How's that Goro coming?
He's about half sanded.
He's half
So
sanded.
once he's there, flows really fast.
He's safe.
I'm the slow point.
Yes, very much so. If you ever need Joel, you know where we live. Achilles Reign, sleep is a crutch. No, it's wonderful. Jerry, I won't buy a plastic mini ever again.
In lieu of what? 3D printing? Is that what he's saying? Or just metal ones? He's just going to go old school.
Metal's resilient in some ways, but paint chips off it really easy, especially when you drop stuff on your minis. So, plastic is really nice in that regard. Jeremy F. Hollow, I think no one gets as little sleep as Tommy and me. Probably.
This is probably correct.
Yeah, you guys have at it. I just take the morning shift. Kellis, I'll be at the War Machine events. Hopefully I'll run into you. Well, I will have to make sure I come see you guys. Centipedes are creepy. Centipedes are scary and poisonous and evil. Awful, awful animal.
With malice in their little centipede hearts.
Yes. Andrew, yes, they don't make fire hot enough to deal with centipedes. See, you guys know. JP got rockets. It's not the travel, it's the place to stay. Nova is a half-day drive from me, but I don't know anyone I could crash with. Just need a little bit of carpet. Fair enough. I was seeing that because the Adepticon hotel block booked up like within 4 seconds. Like Adepticon's hotel booked as fast as a GW limited release sells out. Like it was seconds. And
I feel like you have to just like guess about when it is and then book the hotel for 2 weeks solid. And then once it's announced, you then back off and be like, I only need these days.
that's an interesting idea. I wonder if they let you do that.
I don't know. I think probably.
Probably. Huh.
But I mean, even then, that's somewhat speculative, right?
It is.
That you're going to catch that 2 or 3 week
You
window
catch
that
the
you
right
book
date.
it out for.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, but what you'll also see is there's a Facebook page called I'm Going to Adepticon, and a lot of people will post on there of like, is anybody looking for a roommate? Want to split the room 7 ways? Like, just I'll bring my own sleeping bag. And so it ends up being sort of hilarious. It's a challenge. Much prefer it to raiding. Oh, the mythics. Yes, just because they're shorter though, right? Like a mythic dungeon will not take as long as raiding, I guess. I don't know. I was oddly craving some World of Warcraft the other day, but I got over it.
Yeah, you got over that real quick.
JP, I'm in MD, become my friend. Jeremy, dang, living in MD, but only getting to go on Saturdays sucks. I live on the wrong coast to go to handing events. Yes. I think I'll be getting the Vermintide 2 Necromancer DLC. So yeah, they're giving Sienna a new career class as a Necromancer.
Okay. That seems weird, from a bright wizard to a necromancer, huh?
I mean, just give them new things to do.
Keep her options open.
Yeah.
That's what she does.
Let's see. Unfortunately, wife office is minimum staff. A day the kid starts school and a week before Labor Day this year. Oh yeah, so the timing is just bad. I need to get you those files so you can print them in 28 scale mech for BattleTech, Tommy. I have like 6 or 7 of them, if not more.
Yeah, I saw several years ago at Adepticon one year. I saw that they had taken, I think, Mech Warrior models and modified them and printed them. They're like 8 or 10 inches tall, and just I think they just had a custom print done on those EVA foam mats.
Oh.
And so like they had a proper BattleTech board, but everything was scaled up. And they played it on the floor. It was pretty awesome.
Jerry says a 28mm scale BattleTech game would run you thousands of dollars and years to paint. Not if you 3D print them.
Yeah.
And years to paint? Yeah, it just depends on what level you really want to go at. I think with that. Mandragora, oh my gosh, I saw that Nanny episode. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Quote, I'm going out on the ledge. Remember to take your heels off, Miss Fine. Are you kidding? Then I'd be completely off balance. Yeah, I remember that. Nanny was a fun show. Shale, I have 28 millimeter.
Who was the nanny?
Fran Drescher?
Fran Drescher. She's the head of the WGA right now.
No, she's the head of SAG.
I'm sorry, not WGA, SAG. Different guild. But yeah,
It's like
she's
you
the head
don't
of
know
SAG
anything.
right now, and like,
Yeah.
and so she's the one who's kind of heading up the strike.
She's concerned about a lot of the AI stuff, and then she's been head of SAG for a while. She spoke out a lot against, some of the lockdown measures
Yeah.
And she wasn't in favor of a lot of that stuff because it was keeping people from working and really disenfranchising a lot of people. So
Yep.
I respect her. She seems like she's
No, I was
genuinely cares about her
I was kind of
guild
surprised
members.
myself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The 28 millimeter Mad Dog Vulture. There's a few official models at that scale too for the RPG. They're enormous. 40K stands weep seeing it next to a Titan.
40K stands, like fans of 40K.
They're called stands.
Yeah, it's like
It's
the
from the Eminem song. It's
Yeah,
where it
Stan.
originated.
you know where he has that fan that's like so crazy that he
That
kills
he like,
himself and his girlfriend.
yeah, his pregnant girlfriend throws her
Yeah.
in the trunk and then
They
drives
drive
off
him
the
off
bridge.
a bridge, but that's a stand. So it's like a crazy super fan. So he's saying that 40K super fans weep when they see that model next to their Titans.
I gotcha. Okay, understood. Stands. And now I know. Let's see, the Tech Commander used to be 28 millimeter scale, and the Blacksite Studios has a mech game in 28 millimeter scale. Oh. JP Got Rockets, I am already ready with Adepticon. It's part of the perks of being an exhibitor. Good point. Jeremy, I'm proud you're not playing that trash game. Yes, but 28 millimeter scale, how big would a dropship be? I can't really play when I want 8 lances of assault mechs crossing a ridge and engaging. Yeah, that'd be pretty intense.
FDM printers go a long way.
They do indeed. I would say they are worth the purchase. So yeah, on that note, I guess I would say we probably should wrap out of here.
And remember, if you enjoyed this this hangout, make sure to like it because that helps us a lot.
Do like it. And even though we rambled a lot, you helped me come up with some good questions for this upcoming panel, guys.
Yes, write them in the comments below.
Yes, if you have
because
questions that
there's
you
a
would
good
want to
chance
ask.
they can be used in the actual panel.
Because you have access to the MC right now to ask these questions. So you have to make them good questions. Just ask them. We'll see what's good. And
If you ask a question that Miranda likes, then she will ask it.
whatever. You guys ask really good questions. I have loved your guys' feedback. I love talking game theory with you all and getting your feedback and seeing what your experience with games has been like. Hearing things like deal breakers with scale changes or miniature model lines, retiring out models. You know, you guys are the players and you guys have been playing for a long time. So your opinion's actually really valuable and I appreciate it. So our next hangout will be 2 weeks from today. That is going to be September 6th. We'll have actually just gotten back from Nova, so it'll probably be sort of a post-convention chat, talking about all that, happened during Nova. And we'll see if we got some footage recorded for you guys too, because I want to see if I can share that. But yeah, on that note, we've got our outro here. So any other chatting you want to do, feel free to keep going, and I'll be answering those in the comments. So have a good one, guys.
Night.
Barry, cover me.
All right, guys, this is it. Copy that. No more sandwiches, Barry.
What's wrong with this place? I'm in the west corridor. I'm right outside the generator room.
out of bullets.